What's up, everybody? We're back with another Disparu video, and this one is titled Actors Need to Shut Up to Save Hollywood. So I'm curious to know what he has to say. I always love his takes. I'm gonna say almost, it's always fun. I love his takes. So before I continue, please not only check out Disparu's channel, but also check out my channel on YouTube and Twitch as I stream games, review content, as well as reactive videos. And without further ado, let's see. Oh, this is a clip from Swordfish. It's one of the first, I think, actually, that's the first movie I ever seen Hugh Jackman in. I haven't seen that in a long time. I probably should put it on like a movie list because it's the first time I saw Halle Berry's boobs. Great time. Anyway, let's check this out.
When your industry is in trouble, the things that you don't want to do are go on strike, which they did.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
We will not allow you to take away our dignity!
And keep attacking the audience, make yourself feel disgusting, and get even less people to watch, which they did. And are doing.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
Some of the fan base just sicken me to my stomach. You're no Star Wars fan in my mind.
What are they for? Look at
With that Ewan McGregor one, because I know the context of that. It was after like the black chick was playing that ninth sister in the Kenobi series. He's getting all like the supposed hate online. I'm pretty sure a few of them were legit racist, but by and large it was partly because she was like a useless crap character, poorly written. But I'm pretty sure that Disney didn't give Ewan McGregor the full story, or even if they did, they probably like, hey, you got to say this, and I'm pretty sure on some level they give him some kind of false narrative, like, oh, this nothing but hate, no legit criticism whatsoever, because Ewan McGregor seems like a very reasonable, rational man, and of course nobody, not even him obviously, would support any racist commentary towards a fellow, anybody, especially someone he works with. But I bet you they did not give him like the full picture, because they want to hide. At that time they was definitely hiding behind the shield of, oh, there's nothing but racist, oh, it's nothing but misogynist, and they only pick out the few examples that fit their narrative without the overall 99% of people who have legit criticisms about that Reva. That was the character's name. That Reva character's name. She was a crap character, poorly written, doesn't make any sense, and they could not, because mostly is Disney, but there's other industries too. But Disney at that time could not take any kind of accountability on the part where it's like you putting these actors out towards the wolves, didn't really do anything to prepare them properly. And what I mean by that is making sure that character is layered, written pretty well, earns to be part of that narrative, because clearly she was there for like to some degree a checkbox list, not that dissimilar for the Acolyte, but it's not like people like, because they pick this narrative like we inherited, like, oh, we hate it because it's like a woman. No, you have plenty of examples as other characters, female characters in Star Wars that people love and adore, We don't like crap characters, and just because it's a woman, you don't get the slide. And then you telling somebody like Ewan McGregor, oh, there's just a bunch of. I bet you they told him like some kind of different story, or they kind of, manipulate it to a certain degree to for him to, because there's PR people. They're gonna spin, and they spend it with him. So now, of course, he's gonna walk in on his white horse, try to save the day, and chew out people that, by and large, actually had legit criticism. And those a few minor people who are racist and are bigoted, they wasn't gonna care either way. And that's what Ewan McGregor probably should did on his end. Probably should have done some bit of research and see what was actually said, the full gambit. But because I cannot stand when they keep hiding behind the shield of bigotry and misogyny to get away with crap writing, and then throw those actors out in the wolves to take the brunt of the brunt of the blame.
The chubby little bastard just sitting around everywhere.
In fact, I had to make this video because Bill Maher said something I agree with, which I'm pretty sure is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And he said if their side want to win, then Hollywood celebrities need to shut the F up because you're not helping. Now, for obvious reasons, I don't care about the first bit. On that front, I've got enough of my own problems over here. But Hollywood celebrities do need to shut up if they ever want to get movies back on track. Not least because if you have a 100% success rate on always choosing the evil side of a topic, the audience isn't going to like it that much, and you'll destroy stories in the process. As all stories are morality tales, if you push a morality in a story opposite that of the audience, they will instantly reject it. And these are people which are planning a strike against their own union. So, professional, intelligent people that make smart life choices, they aren't.
If I fall over, pick me up because I've got some things to say. Inclusion rider.
Hello, my name's Jacob Elijah Moses.
There are definitely better people to get advice from. That's why you know it's getting bad when Bill Maher is even willing to speak out against you. And it's not as if it's even a theory at this point. Iron Lung being made by Markiplier has proven many things. It's been a great win for indie studios. But it really showed the benefit of making niche movies for a target demographic. He has an audience of people just like him that like his sense of humor.
He kind of looks like that dude from The Real Rejects a little bit in the face. But yeah, I've been hearing, really good things with Iron Lung. And these indie filmmakers and filmmakers from like China and Japan and Korea are just dominating. And anything coming from the West, anything some substantial merit is so few and far between right now.
His creative direction, the way he makes videos.
I don't know, what was that movie like they got these like accolades with Leo DiCaprio film. I forget what it was called, but it's the one where like you got like the black chick with the shooting like a AK or some kind of assault rifle while she's like crazy pregnant, and it's like, okay, clearly it's like Antifa being bad. Painting this, they got crap. What's that? Freaking actor, Sean Penn, I think it was. Trying to be like, like this caricature of what the left think the right is. Like, what what do you think? Like some of the, MAGA Republicans probably would behave like. It's like a propaganda movie, and it's like you knew what it was given the trailer where he had like DiCaprio's character had like a mixed race daughter who has friends over, and he got to make some kind of comments like about are they non-binary or something like that. It's like are they that? It's like it's like the whole acolyte thing with that little beaver character, and like the main character lead was like who is he or they with us? And it's like, what was that for? This is the kind of crap that makes us cringe. It's just like the whole non-binary thing is a bunch of bull. It is. I'm, sorry to break it to you. It's a bunch of bull. You just crying for attention. It's only two genders. There's always will be two genders. If you want to like identify as a freaking toaster, do it within your own home. When you're outside in public, we're going to identify you as we see you, just in general. Okay, it's so dumb. This whole entire thing is so dumb, and you put this crap to validate these, minute amount of people, and it keeps feeding into it, and it's like we gotta stop. And the movies aren't, and these TV shows aren't helping, because most of this crap is done by Hollywood, where they accept every little thing known to freaking man, except diversity in thought, because you gotta do groupthink. And if we don't do groupthink, then you're the enemy. You're evil because you dare to think for yourself and call out dumb stuff when you see it as dumb stuff.
So it made sense that they'd like a movie that he made. Hollywood could do that too if they cared about the quality of the end product. If they picked a target demographic like men and then hyper-focused on them and gave them exactly what they asked for. Like a dude slaughtering a load of people with a TNA character in the back he's got to save from the evil villain. This isn't hard, folks. Yet instead, what we're left with is shows like Starfleet Academy that get beaten by William Shatner holding a bowl of fibre.
Will Shat bringing fibre to the masses.
Even as I'm saying it, I feel like I have to point out this is not the B. This isn't a parody version. This is the...
second, because this is going to be driving me crazy. I'm sorry, I got to be right back. Freaking crazy. Alright, sorry. Had to take care of something.
State of the world! I mean, the article gives a warning about potty humour.
Will Shad in the house.
Wait, Will Shat where?
Never mind.
But then again, Starfleet Academy has Jaden, and so he kind of makes his own.
Your bearing is also impressive.
You'd need reconstructive surgery. It's even reached a point now where studios are just coming out.
Yeah, this freaking film. What the heck is it called?
And saying why they're doing all of this stuff, what their main interest is when they make entertainment. HBO Max is soon to launch in the UK, and so we got loads of interviews about where they think they're going in the future. And one of their brags was, years to date, our stories don't just get watched, they ignite conversation, and when we're at their best, they actually shape culture. Oh sure, they can give lip service to delivering what consumers want the most, but really what they're in is giving them something they'll consume, so that they can force change upon them. It's something the BBC has been trying for a long time, who recently have even been told to stop tick box diversity casting. And I'll probably do a video on that article at some point, but it's not actually what it seems. The way it comes down to is, you should stop casting clunky, inauthentic, and preaching to the viewer, but only because it's harming foreigners. It's more you're doing this in a really ineffective way and making people realise what you're doing. We can be sneakier about this. And I have a feeling if you dug into it a bit more, that would be more Bill Maher's position, because every single person he's got to put up with must be driving him insane. The media, of course, is just egging them on. Some celebrities are using their platforms to respond to arresting criminals. Billie Eilish, Pedro Pascal, Natalie Portman, Olivia Rodrigo, all the insufferable people wearing pins, making statements, urging action, but not actually doing anything about it. Oh, we believe in this so much as they go back to their mansions and do absolutely nothing.
Do you feel that's effective or no?
Come on. I don't need to wear a pin about it.
There was once a day where if someone believed this strongly about something, they'd throw themselves upon their own sword. Of course, this is all self-interest. Social manipulation, subversion, manipulating the morality of their betters. This is less about actually caring about something, and more pretending to be seen to care about something. Which would actually make more sense from a moral perspective if what they were always seen to care about wasn't horrific. Which is how you know it's not a genuine position. This is simply saluting to the rest of the crowd that I'm one of you boys. I'm safe and part of the horde, I don't think for myself.
I take responsibility.
This is Auk Mini, our second generation Auk. So our company
Really wish that we could get it to you guys, but we need to stand on the right side of history.
It's why they get very, very annoyed when they're called out on something. There's a reason why I say these people don't matter. It's not just because they don't matter. It's because when you've got an ego, when you are a narcissist, anyone poking that very fragile shell you've built around yourself has genuine impact. And I find that funny. I get a little tired of Hollywood jackasses telling us what they think.
Turn her keys back to her multi-million-dollar mansion to whomever's...
He's like a dog that's just eaten something. Dogs actually do lick around their mouth when they're very nervous and don't know what to say, and this is just, I've never been confronted with an opinion before. Before Stacy says,
if you don't like it, don't listen.
No, you should just tune out and then let all of the scum just run rampant and destroy the universe. If you don't like it, don't listen is simply a statement that goes, why do you even have standards? Why are you better than me? Can't you just sink down to our level and let us burn everything? I was really happy burning everything. Look, I know I'm setting fire to your house, but can't you just move out for a bit while I do it? I'm having fun. Well, the truth comes back. I don't really care about you. So no, when you're being horrific, I'm going to call it out. And
yeah, it's just, and it's such a nothing of a response. I was like, oh, you don't have to watch it. Why do you want the masses to accept poor slop? Why do you want the masses to just allow certain things in the ecosystem that doesn't belong, when like you can't even engage in the good faith conversation? So celebrities, sure, they're still human. They, especially in America, they have a voice, of course, but it's like a time and a place. It is, because when you're at the Grammys, it's pretty much just like a giant circle jerk, just a glorified, like, pat on your back. You got these accolades for whatever movie that you was in the year prior. That's all fine and dandy. You clearly, did the work, like putting on like the performance, all that stuff. Cool. But you, don't get to go up on that stage and start talking about, the certain whatever that's going on. Let's go with the whole ICE thing. Like with Billie Eilish, like, you don't get to preach about stolen land, or you don't get to do all this, like, self-aggrandizing and like get on this big soapbox while you living in like mega mansions. Okay, I'm pretty sure that like a lot of them actually legit care about certain stuff, but the smart ones keep that to themselves. Do their little charities. You don't have to make a whole show of it, but you do not need to like air this kind of crap out. Like, it's just like with the whole Olympics thing, with some of the American Olympians want to talk crap about the country they're supposed to be representing, which is shameful, if I'm being completely honest. But it's just, on the world stage, we don't need to know your politics, especially if you're an entertainer. Okay, you by and large keep that stuff to yourself, unless you like are being interviewed by Barbara Walters or Oprah or something like that. Then you can just, like, because you're not in any kind of obligation to like promote a particular movie or a CD or whatever. You're on your own time. You got no other obligations, and you in an interview, somebody asking you a personal question. You can then, at that moment, you can voice whatever you want to voice, and you say what kind of charities you like to do and whatever. Have at it. But when you're in a particular sport, that is ongoing, or you in like a musical space, or you in a particular film, you are on the clock. And just like any other job, you leave your personal politics at the door. We don't need to know. You don't need to bring it up. And you don't need to go on this soapbox and pretty much lecture the masses. It doesn't make you, like, you got this little pat on the head by these, like, the super woke celebrities that can't think for themselves. And it's like, and then got the nerve to get all, hot under the collar when somebody like Ricky Gervais calls them out on it, or even Bill Maher calls them out on it, and then it's like, oh, you're like agreeing with everything, like, the right says. Like, no, we're just calling you on your dumb stuff. Doesn't mean we agree with the other side necessarily. Just be a normal person. This is so weird.
And if you are costing Hollywood millions of dollars, seems to be a point worthy of accountability. I mean, we recently found out that Snow White lost Disney $170 million. Also that Rachel could brag about how little she needed blokes while having a boyfriend.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, therefore it's extremely dated.
Big focus on her love story. She's not going to be dreaming about true love.
Not going to be saved by the prince.
She's weird.
You know, they say you can't put a price on a woman's freedom, but it seems to be $170 million. And a person you wouldn't want to hire in your movie because they actively destroy it.
I really like Jennifer Lawrence. That's true.
I don't care what you think is true. I care what actually is true. I care about reality, not the opinion of an NPC.
Because nobody listens to us.
And I think she's 100%.
It is true. In fact, no, that isn't true, actually. I agree with her for once. It's probably the first time anyone with sense has. People do listen to celebrities. And then they turn off the television, put on something from another country where they actually make base masculine entertainment. Yeah, the problem with celebrities is people do hear you. You do have a platform. And you are listened to. And then they're repulsed.
Celebrity.
Oh my god. I've got a minge. Hear me whine.
They don't care.
Nobody cares, darling.
Oh, that was completely disrespectful. And dude's like, he should have definitely, like, hey, don't you do that. I'm a grown ass man. And, like, you want to chime in, wait until, like, I finish saying my piece, and then you can respond. None of this blah, 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 like I'm your kid. And this is the kind of problem most people are having, especially, towards, like, certain, like, liberal white women, where they, like, just want to, respond, listen to respond, however you say the phrase. But it is not, like, taking in what you're saying before they decide to calculate how they're going to respond in a concise way that makes sense, instead of just like blah, 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 like you're like a 10-year-old kid who's like trying to interfere in a grown-up conversation. It's just like, it's completely disrespectful. Definitely, like, this is like a perfect prime example of emasculation on deck right here. In case you are so confused or you don't have any exact definition of what emasculation looks like, this is it. This right here. If you are a 25-plus-year-old man and some woman, I don't care how old she is, does something like this, you have every right to check her immediately. And shame on the others. I didn't watch the entire thing. I'm pretty sure maybe somebody pointed it out. But the rest of these people should have checked this woman immediately. Hey, let's try not to do that. And she should immediately be held accountable and be forced to apologize for that reaction. I know it's probably like a debate and things are probably heated, but you gotta check that attitude. Because if he did that to her, he'll probably be right through the coals before this entire, on social media, before this whole segment would have been finished.
Your minge has no power here.
So that is fair enough.
Let's
Don't touch him. We don't want to go to HR because you just can't resist your betters. Jennifer Lawrence finally said, I'm not going to speak up politically because no one listens to us. That's not true. Many people do care what celebrities think. And that's your problem. It's not that they care what they think, but they do hear them, they do have a platform, and do get put out in the media, and then they repulse their audience. It would be better if no one heard what celebrities think, because what they think is actively destroying their industry. It's acidic to quality. All you're doing is making his argument for them that they should shut up. Take, for instance, John John
Leguizamo used to be freaking cool. Okay? Because this is the same guy, like, they used to be The Pest, if you remember that god-awful movie. But this was, Luigi Mario. This guy, like, growing up, it's like, man, this dude was, like, like a pretty cool dude. But he drank that Wokuli, like, like crazy. And I understand he has his own personal feelings towards the whole ICE situation, but he doesn't have any kind of, like, you can't parse that people are going after like illegal immigrants. That's why they ask for those kind of papers and IDs, because it's just like a 2-second thing. If you like legit, have like a legitimacy to be in America and is quintessentially is American, you have like, hey, here's my birth certificate, here's my ID, here's all the necessary paperwork, here he is, F off now. Sure, you might say like, oh, that's as like what, like Mark Ruffalo call it Gestapo. It's like 2 seconds, they're out of your hair. But primary people are the ones that's doing the running and all this, commotion. It's pretty much the ones that know full well they don't have legitimacy to be in this country and got here illegally. And because he is letting his emotions run rampant right now, not too dissimilar to somebody like George Lopez, where it's like, bro, like, I know you probably have a little more personal biases towards this, but you have to like at least take your emotions out of it and think critically. And it's like, okay, I don't agree with how they're doing it, but I understand why they're doing it, because that's their job. By law, they have the right. And that's why we have, vote registration and like, the local congressman and all this other stuff to put people in place or shut down certain laws, like the law about like what the ICE are doing. There's laws on the books to like vote against. So in the future, this won't happen again if it means that much to you. But, no, it's like he make this, social media post that is like telling people, because I saw it, it's like telling people not to go see any films of yours because you're not, any fan of mine. Is not that dissimilar to like how Rachel Zegler did it. It's not too dissimilar with what Ewan McGregor did it. And it's like you're killing your career that way, because it's like you got to operate on the ideology of Michael Jordan, where he had like a firm stance against like, putting his stamp on any politician, whether right or left, because he points out, because you can look up, it was one of his famous quotes, it's basically like, Republicans buy my shoes too. Like, and you tell these entertainers like, hey, Republicans go see your movies too. It isn't just your little woke, silo of people that will go see your movies. And contrary to popular belief, there's like a significant amount of Hispanics that agree with what, by getting illegal immigrants out of the country, because I'm pretty sure lots of them know people who went through the arduous task of going through all the paperwork to get in the country the correct way. And as injustice to them, they probably more so than anybody else would be the most pissed by the fact that people got here illegally, cut corners, while they had to go through the necessary task to, and the grind to get to swear to say the oath, hand on the Bible, and, hold their hand up to say the Pledge of Allegiance, because it's an emotional moment. You can watch the videos online. It's very emotional to see people get sworn in to be officially American. It's a big deal to a lot of them. Okay, and you let illegal immigrants undercut that. It's completely disrespectful, but they don't mention it in these little Grammys or award shows. They keep just using words, immigration just so broadly, and it's like, full well it's illegal immigrants that ICE is after. Illegal. That's the key word. Illegal. Okay, you may not have to like how they're doing it. I don't like how they're doing it because it is kind of aggressive, but then again, it doesn't help if you have people either running. It's not too dissimilar to any law enforcement. If you run from them, of course they're going to have to escalate that because clearly you're guilty. Or if you get somebody who's interfering with law enforcement procedures, of course they're going to up the ante because you're interfering, which is against the law. But you want to be on the right side of history. It's like overcorrecting from past stuff. And it's like, come on, just think critically for 5 minutes.
That thing, where he decided to tell his fans,
unfollow me, don't come to my shows, and don't watch my movies.
Yeah, I've seen that before. We had it in comics with Kelly Sue DeConnick saying, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. So they didn't. To be honest, I would have judged that book by its cover and not bought it anyway. Then we had Rachel Zegler, who said that her audience should never know peace. And I'm pretty sure at some point she said to unfollow her as well if you didn't like it.
Just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
But as for John Quizamo,
don't come to my shows and don't watch my movies.
Well, I went to his IMDb page and I'm like, don't watch his movies. Don't watch his movies.
It was on
see more. Power, so. Don't watch his movies. Don't watch his movies. Don't watch his movies. Oh, there we go. I had to go back to 2017 to find one of his movies that I'd watched. Should be pretty easy to do, mate. American celebrities have no idea about PR. When Kirsten Stewart said, I'm ready to make movies outside of the United States. It's like, oh, great. So you don't need them as an audience then? You're not making them for them. You're making it abroad. That's your virtue signal. You're going to help all of those little people over there that you have never thought about before in your life. I'm going off to the far off lands. I'm so brave. And then I'm going to shove them down the throat of the American people. Are you, though? Because the thing is, Kristen Stewart has made some crazy statements in a time.
Kristen Stewart is a funny one because now she's like queer, or something in a lesbian relationship, and she hasn't been right ever since she got busted, messing up, the marriage of the director of that. What was it? It was ironically a Snow White movie. Which ironically is probably way better than the Rachel Zegler version, but the director of that movie, she had pretty much an affair with him. Got busted by the media, and since then it's just been a weird spiral with her. I'm not sure what the heck that was. I'm pretty sure there was a video about her kind of weird, celebrity journey, pretty much. Yeah, she's a little off.
Entertainment industry is capitalist hell, and it hates women, and it hates marginalized voices, and it's racist. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of some sort of weird Marxist communist
compare some of these Kristen Stewart seemed to be happy back in the day, but now she's kind of just got this blank stare, or just just generally just not even unhappy. It's just she's just zoned out, pretty much. She's just here. And oh crap, what's the Elliot Page, when she was a she, or he was a she, whatever, you can compare, how they were when she was a she, compared now how now he's a he. Side by side picture. You can't tell what's going on in people's heads, of course, but clearly there's a more happier time compared to this like very monotone blank face with like zero happiness. It's like clearly you're not fulfilled now that you live in your own skin. It's a very bizarre chain of events with certain these celebrities that used to be so cool and normal back in the day, but as soon as this woke crap got everybody's heads turned, ever since 2018 getting into the 2019, I think that's when it really had like a weird shift in the world, specifically Hollywood, and then like it just kind of like warped people's minds. You look at the Wachowskis who created the Matrix films. They seemed like cool, edgy dudes back in the day. Now it's like they're girls now. Like if you show them a picture of what they are now and go back in time and show them this, like, hey, this is your future, they will probably, beat you up by insinuating that. Like, just out of insult. Because they wouldn't buy that in a million years. It's how time works is very weird, and how the journey of life gets very weird.
Situation that other people can definitely think like, of course this psycho is saying that, but I think it's possible.
But you also built like streaky bacon. You couldn't shove anything down anyone's throat. And even if you could, that's not how movies work. You have to make people like you. People have to want to give you money. You have to be Markiplier.
10 people who are over the age of 50 and male weighing in on what my queer character's hair should look like.
The difference between Markiplier's attitude, where he's just thanking people, I'm so glad you liked my movie, and if you didn't like it, well, I hope you come to the next one where it's going to be even better. So I'm gonna shove it down your throat. Anyone wants.
Yeah, and that's how you should move, man. It just takes some humility and understanding and self-awareness. Like, no matter what movie it is, whether it is good or bad, it could be John Wick 2, or it can be the Rachel Zegler Snow White film. Either way, you have to like leave it up to people to decide if they want to come to see a movie. Let the chips fall where they may. If you put in the time and energy and effort to make sure this is like a good writing and good cinematography, everything from top to bottom, and you're on press tours, despite how people might feel, you need to that's the whole point of these little press junkets. You gotta make sure that everybody, you trying to get everybody to watch it as much as possible, so it doesn't bode well for you if you go tell people half the country, hey, if you don't agree with my personal politics or believe how I believe, or you disagree on a particular topic than I do, then I don't need your your ticket. Like, I don't need your support. I don't need. It's like, dude, you're not that freaking important to that we just have to go do this or have to go do it because you're the most important thing on this planet. It's like this, the Iron Lung director. I'm pretty sure it was the director. It's like, hey, he took a very reasonable, neutral stance. Hey, like I, make sure like I did the work. I would love for you to come. Okay, it's not a big deal if it's not your speed, but I would love like give it a chance. You might be surprised. You might love this. So give it a chance. But if it's not your speed, hey, no harm, no foul. We'll love your support either way. But hey, you have a great time. It's just reasonable. Okay. Most celebrities can't understand the public don't owe you anything. It's like the Bros director that gay rom-com. He got all pissed about it because not more straight people went to go see it. It wasn't our jam. We don't owe you our time and money to go see your gay rom-com. Sorry, it's just is what it is. Some things aren't meant for everybody. I don't expect everybody to go see like a Transformer movie because not everybody's into Transformers. Doesn't matter how much they like the director or hate the director. Either way, it just is what it is. It's all about freedom of choice. But if you put in the effort in the writing and the character development of your material, word will spread. Iron Lung is getting so many accolades right now because they did the due diligence to make sure they put out a pretty sweet product. So word got out, now more people gonna want to see. There isn't about any kind of agenda or focusing on a particular marginalized group. That is like that used to be standard. That should be standard knowledge. But like I said, it's been like a weird shift around like 2018 or so. It's been like a weird shift in the world, in particular Hollywood. It's a shame.
From actors is this: all you have to do is show up, look cute. Shut up. You are a piece of meat, not a person. Nobody goes to the movies to see your personality. You're not Tom Cruise. There are some actors the audience genuinely likes and roots for.
I just want to mention
Tom Cruise. There are some actors.
Henry Cavill. See, there's quite a few actors that just on the basis of their personality and how they live their lives, it's just like a perfect example of how celebrities should behave, because they're just genuine people, their own little hobbies, and it's like Henry Cavill, Michael B. Jordan, and Keanu Reeves, in my personal opinion, are perfect examples of celebrities that isn't on this crazy soapbox. They're just genuinely good people. They have their own interests. They're not posers whatsoever. Henry Cavill likes video games, particularly Warhammer. He likes building PCs and barbecuing and making miniatures. Like, dude's a man's man. Let him. I could listen to him talk about Warhammer all day. And because he's a genuine person, and he likes The Witcher too, because he's a genuine person and has these very deep passions about the certain fandoms like Warhammer, he is taking upon himself to make sure, because unlike The Witcher, where he disagreed a lot about how they keep going off path from the source material, and that really bothered him. That's why he just decided to cut his losses, and now he's working on Warhammer, which I read in an article that he is, even after everybody's clocking out, he's still there, working on the writing material. That's how deep his passion runs, because he want to make sure he make it the series as accurate as possible, so we can all love it. I was never into Warhammer. I'm aware of it. I'm definitely aware of Warhammer, but I never really follow the source material or anything like that. But the way he describes it, I got very curious. And it's oh my god, it's I could listen to dude talk about that kind of stuff all day, because it's man, because it's kind of two guys had similar passions in a particular subject, and it could be just video games in general, and he can talk about his favorite video game, and I can talk about my favorite video game, and we're gonna just kind of just spout it off and get the ball rolling. That's why guys tend to be better friends than most women be friends to each other. Guys can find the same camaraderie, and we be lifelong friends. And I can just listen to talk about his passion all day long. Similar to how Michael B. Jordan talks about anime, I can listen to his take on anime all day long, because he actually, I think he actually wants to work on adaptation of a particular anime. That's one of his kind of passion projects too. But I can listen to him talk about this stuff all day long because he's a genuine person. He's not a poser. He's not on this kind of soapbox preaching and like, you know, lecturing and being condescending. None of that stuff. He might just go and let other people talk that stuff. Like, he want to live his own life and just, you know, mind his business pretty much. This is like, you know, how you should carry yourself. And Keanu Reeves is the best of a person. He's a genuine good man. You know, like, you know, buying his crew watches and like, you know, getting up from the seat to let, because he still rides transportation from time to time, and you know, lets other people sit in his seat. It's just, he sometimes just hangs out like on a bench at a park one time. It's like, this dude was like a genuine person. He just kind of like a wandering, like a wandering monk or something like that. He's just a pretty chill dude. These are like my top 3, you know, examples of like genuine celebrities that is good at their job, but also when they're not on the clock, they just mind their business and live their lives, whatever passions they have. Not to say they ain't concerned about certain things that might be going on that they're not like ignoring, but they don't need to like, you know, do what like Sean Penn does. It's just like my take on it. I really like Henry Cavill. I think he's like an awesome individual, and because he is such a good person, and because like when you hear his passion behind his stuff, makes me want to watch his stuff. I've never had an interest in Warhammer like that before until he started talking about it, and because he has such a love and affinity for like, you know, video games like Witcher, and there's the only reason I even watched the first season of Witcher because of him, because the way how he talk about it, and it's kind of you drawn into this world because of him. Man, it's just like, God, we need more of these kind of guys.
The audience genuinely likes and roots for and wants to succeed, like Henry Cavill. Those are the exceptions, though. And the ones that are like that, everyone can name, and those actors, I imagine, know who they are.
Like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. That's definitely Ben Affleck, even more so. Where I remember watching them on Joe Rogan a few weeks ago, and the way like they talk about making movies, and in particular how AI is, is coming into play and how it might affect the movie industry, and listen to them talk about like, the passion behind their words when it comes to making film. It's just, make me want to watch more of their stuff, because like they understood the craft. I'm pretty sure they got like, personal things that they're concerned about when it comes to like politics or what have you. I'm pretty sure they have that kind of stuff, but we don't know about that stuff because you keep that crap to themselves. It's just like what Denzel Washington gave the advice to Michael B. Jordan, like, keep that kind of stuff to yourself. The world does not need to know. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the sentiment behind it, because we don't need to know any of that stuff. It's not the public's business. Like, you don't need to be on this like high horse, like you're floating above every freaking body. Okay, you are good at a particular job. You go there, do the job, and just go and live your life.
A few sane people, which I don't know who this guy is, but I would have judged this book by its cover. I didn't expect the same comments to be coming from him, to be honest. He said, people shouldn't care to hear my opinion. I'm a dumb redneck. When it should be, I'm a celebrity. I hate to be the artist that sounds aloof. You don't sound aloof. Actually, you sound grounded. The aloof thing is going out to Variety and going, actually, I think I should be talking about this. Again, something Bill Maher did way better with his response.
I don't need to wear a pin about it.
But I just feel so disconnected. I didn't know politics were real until I was in my mid-20s in jail. Okay. Book, cover, it always works. Sydney Sweeney, though, you may remember her from such things as...
Sydney Sweeney is another one where she just seems like a normal person, but because like she's hot, a hot white blonde, she getting like unnecessary hate, usually from like, women, in particular like uglified women, who's just jealous of her looks because she probably represents the girls that probably bullied them back in high school. and kind of projected onto her. And because her family identifies as like conservatives, we don't know her personal politics, but it's fair to say that he might believe in the exact same stuff because he sees very grounded of an individual. So Sydney Sweeney, Henry Cavill, Michael B. Jordan, Keanu Reeves, those are like a good top celebrities I can think of in my mind that seem like down to earth, reasonable, rational people that have some, like particular passions and don't let like their personal ideologies or politics spread out to the masses because they are fully aware. Don't go care. I just want to do my thing when I'm not on the job.
Are passed down.
And me, as an actor, I'd like to go home, stream, play some video games, like collect, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon cards. And, I have my own passions too. And by and large, I, keep like my personal politics to myself, less asked. That's just my thing. I like video games. I like comic books. I like to just chill out, when I'm not like, out like acting or whatever like that,
From parents to offspring. My jeans are blue.
Yes, for some reason, everyone wants to drag her into it, is because they're jealous. She's hot, they're not, and that makes them hate her. Now, if it was on their side, it'd be friendly fire. They'd have to come up with some other subversive, manipulative way to attack her. But by othering her, separating her out from all the other lunatics, well, now we've got an excuse. Oh, we don't hate you because you're just far more attractive than we are. We hate you because you're MAGA Barbie, which seems like a very strange insult. These people aren't the brightest. If I was going to insult somebody, it wouldn't be with a massively popular franchise. It's like, oh, you're just like Jurassic Park. Like what? I make billions every year, and people love me so much, they'll go and watch me no matter how low my quality is. I'm really not seeing the insult here, to be honest. It's like Barbie made over $1 billion out of nowhere. The women love her. I don't know what you're talking about. But what they were really annoyed about wasn't any value system relating to Sydney, because Sydney wasn't talking about it. What they were annoyed about is the men liked her, whereas they know the men don't like them. If the modern age is the attention economy, well, she was getting all the attention, and that means she was winning. And the men liked her because of this.
That's called the PG Google searches. I know what you Google.
After decades of men being told, no, I should be able to get about, and that doesn't mean anything, but it's wrong if you look at them. For once, the men had somebody who goes, I know that you look at me, and I like it. It's fine. Of course, she's gonna get the attention, because really...
Yeah, because she's based. That's what is appealing. Not only, of course she's hot, but also she's a reasonable woman that understands, like, yeah, I look good and my mass appeal is probably my tatas more than anything in the world, and I lean into that because that's the money maker. I don't feel no ways about it with a guys who like that kind of stuff. They're like it's like essentially like she's the Star Wars of humans. And what I mean by that is that she's like a boy's brand. Other people like, other women can enjoy it too. But we know the primary market will be men because men want to be with her. Men like looking at her. And there's nothing wrong with that because despite how certain people want to shame guys for their innate biology, she goes against the grain and they hate her for it because she doesn't squawk along with them. And which we need more Sydney Sweeneys out there in the world. There's plenty out there, like people that I follow on YouTube, like Vera Dark or Snarky J or Leaflet, just to name a few. They are just reasonable people, or even like Blabs from like Side Scrolls, like just off the top of my head, are just reasonable women that understand they understand the real world. It has some self-awareness. Okay, it doesn't hate men or hate the patriarchy or none of that crap. They understand that sex sells. They understand guys like hot women. It doesn't mean that other women are just like, oh, you're scum of the earth or anything like that. It's just natural biology, okay? Just because you're not as hot as Sydney Sweeney doesn't make you inherently a bad person, okay? It is what it is. It's natural biology. Most guys understand they ain't never gonna get with Sydney Sweeney. We just know we like looking at her. And the fact that she's just like a reasonable person, she doesn't have to tell any of her politics or anything like that. She's there to do a job, and she has her own personal life she lives when she's not on the clock, okay? We don't need to know like all her personal business. We just need to know what movie she's gonna be in and how hot she's gonna be in it. That's it. And I'm pretty sure the flip side to that will be Henry Cavill. Girls shouldn't want to hear anything about his personal politics. They just want to look at his rippling muscles and gorgeous face. That's all they care about. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not gay, but I understand why women look at Michael B. Jordan and Henry Cavill like, oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yes. As to why they are drawn to guys like that. It makes sense.
Nobody likes a miserable bitch.
No guy would ever shame a girl for liking guys like that, because it makes sense why girls like guys like that. But it seems on the flip side, guys tend to get, lectured to and talked down to and shamed because our innate thing that we like, what appeals to us as men, is shamed, because we look at somebody like Sydney Sweeney as an ideal picture of what kind of women that we would like to be with. But because most girls probably don't fit that mold, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or physically, she has the combo here. They feel some type of way about it because they don't want to do no self-reflection and try to work on themselves. They feel it's easier just to shame guys so they can feel better. But Sydney Sweeney, I'm pretty sure she likes working on cars too. There was like a whole thing about that. Like, it's been a while, but that is still like, I think that is like a thing. I'm like 80% sure that's like a thing, which makes her like she grew up in a normal household, like probably like salt of the earth. Like, I'm not sure like where she was raised. Matter of fact, let me look this up. I'm pretty sure she grew up in the Midwest. Let's see, this is one. Idaho. Yep, Midwest. Makes sense. It typically is the Midwest women is like probably like the Midwest and the Southern women are typically the ones are the more rational or even killed, I should say, than most of the other women in the country. Typically in the Western Bloc. It's funny how that works, right?
Magazine even recently covered a study that said that women that were well endowed get more hate from other women. They show more indirect and verbal hostility towards women that are more attractive because they get the attention from men, and attention is what they desire. Why would this happen? Well, it's due to an evolutionary mating strategy where rather than engaging in direct physical aggression or violence, this is because Women's Magazine doesn't understand how men compete. Men don't compete through physical aggression and violence, although that could be part of showing status and power. Men don't care as much about their looks because they compete on a far wider level. Why do women go, oh, he wants to make me laugh? Well, it's because a sense of humour is linked to intelligence, and intelligence is linked to resource acquisition. For men, it's far more about status, money, and power. This is why men are more risk-taking. It's because they peacock. It's about showing off their deeds, what they're capable of, what they've got. Whereas for women, it's more about their genetics. Due to women's greater parental investment, aggression must go undetected.
Certain people don't want to acknowledge biology. Typically, leftist women don't want to understand biology or agree with it on any sense of the word. because they want to equalize. They're dogmatic with trying to equalize everything, and they dare say like that's what feminism is. We trying to raise everybody up. Like no, will never be equal. Nobody, no person will ever be equal to another. Somebody's always going to be better than the other. Somebody's going to always make more than the other. Depending on what they choose to do with their lives or how they choose to look and work on themselves, people are never going to be equal. And especially men and women will never be equal to each other because men have to compete out in the world. We have to work. We have to produce. We got to put in effort. We got to be ambitious, risk taking. We got to be physically I want to say well endowed, but we gotta work on our fitness and be competent. We gotta do all that stuff to be to have mass appeal towards the opposite sex. Sure, being good looking helps too, but we also our main the main selling point is, can you protect and provide? Do you have like a stable job that pays well? Are you fit enough to protect me if something goes wrong? Can you protect me from myself if I'm being kind of crazy? Women's appeal is just their looks, and sure you can be smart and have like a personality, certainly, but when you peel back the layers, is like your youth and your beauty. Because that signifies that the fertility and birthing capabilities, because we want to produce heirs. And of course, women don't want to just produce with anybody; they want to produce with the best of the best. That's why guys work on themselves and try to get like the best jobs and show off like some level of competency to appeal to a particular woman. And that's why you get like like kind of players out there in the world, because they're like the top 20%, not just because of the finances, but just because they're like crazy tall, because women like tall dudes, because they think they can easily protect them. It's just biology. It's just these small minute of men in the populace bangs a lot more of the women, because where some women want to admit it or not, they are naturally drawn to guys who are super tall, or they have like all this finances or whatever, or drives this particular car or have this particular house, things that signify, oh, I can lay under his covering. It's just pretty much like a self-preservation, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Well, of course, women wants to latch on to a guy that they know they can probably protect them and secure any finances, that way she can be kept and live comfortably. It's all about her as a female's survival. The problem is they tend to like be drawn to the worst type of men that will manipulate that, because they view the stockbroker, despite the bad characteristics of the stockbroker, they not just tend to, not all the time, hopefully they learn more after a period, but they tend to be drawn to a guy like that and risk going through something that might be bad, not necessarily abuse, but maybe he cheats a lot, whatever, but she'd rather deal with that because she misuse of her survival, where she can just as easily have the protection and support from a guy who might be running his own mechanic shop or something like that, or he's a plumber or something like that, something, a guy who makes reasonable amount of money and can still do the same stuff, but because it's not glamorous, that's where certain women be stupid. Not all of them, but certain women be stupid by like not thinking a few steps ahead beyond the intimate gratification. Okay, I know this stockbroker have all these glitz and glamour stuff, but his character is crappy. So I'm going to ignore all of that because that won't serve me in the long run. Let me go with the guy who's running his mechanic shop. He's nice. He got good morals. Sure, his job isn't glamorous, but I'm confident that when I'm 80, he'll still be around to wipe my drool off my face. And he's the least likely to do me wrong. It's just, it's just like a misuse of their strengths or misuse of discernment. But yeah.
Because otherwise they would get excommunicated from the tribe and die. They needed other women to help them raise their own children and to protect them when the men were gone. So they developed this sort of social, subversive, reputation-destroying form of combat.
Jeans are uncontroversial. Jeans are awesome. You look great in your jeans.
It's one of my favorite freaking memes of all time. It's like this and the Homelander disgust look meme and the Coldplay couple last year, like my top 3 favorite memes of all time that expresses how I tend to feel in most cases. Well, at least with the Sadie Sweeney and the Homelander one, express how if I feel like some other disgust, those two, measure perfectly how I feel when it comes to the level of disgust I might have for a particular thing or person.
Great. Maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people. Since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
Whereas men are overt. They evolve these mechanisms to increase vigilance to potential threats. Because men place a premium on youth and physical looks, women have learned to become attentive to other attractive women and indirectly undermine attractive female rivals through tactics like reputation destruction, and to reduce perceived threats to their own relationship, or to destroy the others and ensure that she doesn't breed. Survival of the fittest doesn't actually mean you have the best genes. It means that your genes spread better throughout the gene pool, and one way you can spread the influence of your genes is by making sure less people are in it. Attractive female rivals exhibit facial femininity, lower waist...
And most girls won't want to admit this, because they like to think that girls, well, at least on the surface, in public, they want to portray this harmony and girls and women don't compete. That's just so lowbrow, and that's just like the structure of the patriarchy or whatever BS they want to cope with. But deep down, back in their minds, at least half of them understand this, basic understanding. Like, yeah, if a guy like Henry Cavill or Michael B. Jordan walks in the room, I will cut every other bitch's throat in order to get to him. That is most women's mindset. And that's just the harsh truth of the matter. Because there's not many men like him in the world. I'm using him as a prime example. It could be like Drake or like a Wall Street guy. It's like whatever. It's just like a very rare breed of guy that fits the mold of the ideal person that women tend to be attracted to. It does a height, strength, looks, status, finances. All that screams that he can support and protect me. Doesn't matter what she has going on with her life. She could be a lawyer or work at a fast food shop. Doesn't matter. She want to be able to at some point know that he can, like, because guys will work well within their 70s and 80s, while most women will be ready to retire by the time they're 60. They want to make sure they are living comfortably and have the right guy to handle the bulk of the work. Which is fine, but don't pretend like all women have this like kumbaya thing, and it's like, we're girls. I'm a girl's girl. It's like, it's a load of crap. Maybe you have legit friends. Maybe that'd be a little bit more accurate. That, friends that you probably trust. Even then, that's small. That pool is small. Because most girls will admit that girls tend to be backstabby, two-faced. There is a dark side to the female nature, and it's usually towards other females. That's why there's, girls. There's a particular female friend I know that usually like hanging out with dudes for the most part, and only have like a couple of legit female friends, because she knows that, like, girls tend to be, two-faced and like passive aggressive and sabotagey. That's how they like attack. They don't do it by physical strength because they don't tend to be stronger than men. So they use, subterfuge for the most part. But even towards other women, push comes to shove, they if they do get into a fight, it's pretty much like a mutual destruction kind of thing, unless she works out, like Rhea Ripley or Ronda Rousey. Unless it's something like that, it tends to be like an even match. So they usually do like subterfuge in order to attack a person's reputation. That's why they do this whole kumbaya thing, so nobody get ousted or exiled from the community, because that's typically how women feel bad and like feel ostracized. They don't like that feeling. But the smart ones, the wise ones, won't care, because they know they want to be part of this herd anyway, because they a bunch of fakes. And those wise ones will only want to be around other reasonable self-thinking wise ones they know they can trust and hold each other accountable in a good faith way.
To hit ratios, and being Sydney Sweeney. Of course, Sydney Sweeney actually played the smart game. Doesn't actually matter if she does have a side. It's like, no, I've just been here to make art, not have a conversation at the front of it. I'm not here to talk about politics. This isn't the conversation I want to be the forefront of. People just want to use me as their own pawn. But that's you assigning something to me, and I can't control that. This manages to drop all the drama from the evil side. Well, the moral side is like, yeah, we don't care if you're neutral. I don't care if you don't have an opinion on something, because if you don't feel knowledgeable enough to have an opinion on it, I'd prefer you didn't. Better than feeling that you have to have an opinion, so you go to the news, and then you end up in hell. Nobody deserves to be over there, it's horrific. And if neutrality is only a position held by one side, well, you're just gonna have to support that side if you want to be able to maintain that position. I don't need anybody to agree with me, but you should at least hate them.
But the risk is that, there's a chance that somebody will get some idea about what you think and feel like, I don't want to see Christy because of that. Like, do you worry about that?
Because with silence being violence...
there was a... crap, I just lost it. God dog it. There was like a picture that was posted on social media recently of Sydney Sweeney without her makeup. She still got it, man. And contrary to popular belief, people, guys, especially women out there in the world that needs to hear this, guys don't care about your freaking makeup. We kind of, prefer less or no makeup. Why you need to look like a clown? Just like a reasonable amount of lipstick, a reasonable amount of eyeliner. Less is more is a saying for a reason. But by and large, I really don't, at least there's a significant amount of guys that really don't care about, as long as you're just, there's nothing wrong being average or above average. We don't want you to this perfect, I'm not looking at Sweeney in particular. I'm just talking about like just women in general. We don't need you to be like this perfect 10 out of 10 bombshell. Just be a reasonable looking person, As long as you don't look like Quasimodo, we can live with it. We pretty much let everything else slide. But that's where your personality comes into effect. It kind of heightens everything else. I knew a girl, she was with a guy though, which is a shame because I would have wiped her up immediately. But she, is like above average in looks, but she is decent size. She wasn't fat, but she wasn't like bottle, like a Coke bottle waist or anything like that. She's like a reasonable look of a woman. She had lovely hazel eyes, but she's also a base individual, very nice, and she represent like a good wife. Of course, she's like wasn't a wife. She's like she had like a legit like a serious monogamous relationship with her boyfriend, but she we hung out a couple of times, but she when I was a couple years ago, and when I was I bought this ticket to go to this like Great Gatsby party, is black tie for the men, and I never had like a black tie kind of attire before. She, this shows her helpmate personality, or things that should be like second nature to women in general. Because it heightens her attractiveness beyond just the above average. Because she's smart, she's like fair, reasonable, and understand not everybody's a 10, that kind of crap. But she, gave me suggestions on going to like a thrift store that not only, I can get like a good suit, that I still went and took it to the dry cleaners anyway and got it tailored. But she told me about this thrift store. They got good suits that I can get, in like a very reasonable prices. But if you also show up on the last Saturday of each month, it's even cheaper. And because of that, like, I never forget something like that. And most guys will never forget something like that, where you not only help, you think somebody think of somebody outside of yourself, because usually girls out there are very selfish, or grew up to be selfish instead of thinking of somebody else. She, made that suggestion. She saved me money, which is a big deal to a lot of guys. Most girls tend to take. She actually saved me money, and I end up looking good when I went out, to that event. Guys get so little from the opposite sex. When we do, we'll never forget it. I can have dementia when I'm 80 years old, but I will never forget that, gesture. That's the kind of thing that, guys appeal to. You can be, like a 5 in looks, but if your personality is phenomenal, we could care less about anything else. You'll shoot up a couple of points with that. You're not airhead. You got a nice personality. As long as you're decent and looks like a 5 is the bare minimum for a lot of dudes. We can just ride that till the wheels fall off. That's at least the mindset most guys have. So yeah, it's just, you gotta back up like your looks with like some personality and brains. And you don't need to be like no rocket scientist, but just be like, be able to hold a conversation and understand that, you as a woman, like, guys, don't expect much. Guys don't generally care about what you choose to do in terms of career, because we know that, let's be real, guys will be putting up the most of the payments and bills anyway. Less so on the woman's end. And that's just the natural thing. We all live with that. There's a whole never going to be equal comes into play, people. Because guys' natural inclination is to take care of the woman. And usually that is finances. And we're perfectly fine with that, as long as you don't try to gouge out everything until the cow is dry. If you're reasonable about it, guys will be more than happy to make sure you're taken care of.
They're still gonna hate Sydney even with this comment. This is the right position for the industry, but unless the industry as a whole goes down with it, then it doesn't tend to win too many friends. I think the reason why it has worked in this case is because it allows people like The Hollywood Reporter to have a scalp. They think they've taken something with this. That, you thought she was one of yours, but now she's just said she's not. When everyone on that side is like, no, we understand, we completely understand. In an age of, Rapunzel, let down your hair. Get this blue mess with a beard. No, that's okay, never mind.
At the end of the day, this is a story of representation, and it matters.
In a desert, the one person with water is a savior, no matter how neutral they want to say they are. And I don't think there is any better example of this than the recent Overwatch controversy. I mean, seriously, it's like a 1-to-1. All we've done is change the hair. She is a VA for a new character in Overwatch, and seem to forget that.
Didn't want to not address the elephant in the room.
In other words, I wanted to speak out about this. I couldn't resist.
I only recently found out she, I'm pretty sure she probably still is, but before she got hired to voice a new character in Overwatch, she primarily was a YouTuber. That was like her primary thing. before she got hired to voice a character in Blizzard. And it's like that is just like bothersome, because she practically she's practically torpedoing her career because she tried to handle, she doesn't like how, because here's the thing, Blizzard saw like the glory Marvel Rivals have been getting, because people are drawn to the beautiful characters and like the accurate looking characters that Marvel Rivals is producing. They're like good looking women and hunky dudes that appeals to people. So they tried to, because let's be real, Marvel Rivals took the blueprint from Overwatch and elevated it. So now they're like, okay, they took our blueprint and they're making bank off our like little, how we started. So we need to try to get that fan base. So, okay, what was the appeal? Good looking women. So let's make, some new characters and they're good looking. But because this, let's, be real, an activist went to them privately at first, told them like, hey, this doesn't look, I want to, we should appeal to this specific group and everything like that. And I want my character to look hot. This weird thing to even say out loud. But because they disagree with her and thought that was settled, she took it to social media. Now they have to backpedal and correct their mistake instead of standing on business. And on top of that, fire this woman, because I'm pretty sure she broke some kind of contract. Most of these things would have contracts. Plastering on social media about the things that was privately discussed, because she didn't feel she didn't want to let it go or understand that she's an employee and they're the bosses, and they didn't want to change their character. That she took it upon herself like, oh well, I'm gonna make you do it. Like she's above it all. And it shows, as an actor, that shows some level of ungratefulness. Okay, you got hired to be put on one of the biggest games in gaming history. And despite how people's personal feelings about how some of the characters are depicted, it still was like a mega hit of a game. And the fact that you squander an opportunity like that by shooting off at the mouth with your little personal grievances about the character that you did not create, it's like worthy of being fired. And matter of fact, even if she didn't get fired from this, I'm pretty sure she got a big ass lecture coming from her bosses. Probably pretty furious too. But I bet you she'll have a hard time trying to find other jobs, because next time, even if she does get hired by somebody who probably does share the same beliefs as she does, if she has some kind of slight or a grievance with something that they chose to do as a company, now they'll probably be worried like, oh, is she gonna get irritated? Will she like embarrass us on social media? She's a liability. It's like, this woman, it's like, dude, why would you shoot yourself in the foot like that? What's wrong with you? Does your little politics mean that doggone much to you? That you want to live in a hovel for the rest of your life? At least you have your principles. As crazy as it is, it's like because you want to uglify your own character. Like for what? For the few people that that happen to be big backs. For the few people that like the body positivity people. It's like why? Like, just why?
It. So get on my soapbox.
Tightrope in my mind of trying to give grace to the developers because they're always trying their best.
By giving grace to the developers, she means throw them under the bus and then drive the bus herself. So her problem is that the character that she voices is just too attractive.
The unspoken promise that said, we're going to challenge the beauty standards plaguing and ransacking media these days.
People are too attractive. People in media are...
Beauty standards? You mean the fact that guys like looking at hot chicks? It isn't like the beauty standards of hot dudes for the girls to goon over. But no, it's the male gaze that you find offensive. quote unquote offensive. Because God forbid guys have any kind of standards, or guys have things that they like or biologically attracted to. God forbid that, you know, media markets to guys out there that likes looking at somebody like Squirrel Girl or Emma Frost or you know, Supergirl or like, you know, Riot Ripley, or like, I don't know, it's pulling up names. God forbid they like Tomb Raider, like the big boob version. You know, God forbid like looking at like a peach booty Tracer. God forbid they're like Dr. Mrs. Monarch. You know, God forbid we like, you know, looking at, you know, Black Cat or Catwoman. God forbid we like looking at Batgirl. God forbid that guys like looking at Elektra. You know, shame on us, because they fit a standard that you can't seem to like either want to or can't fit yourself. So instead of working on yourself or just accepting the reality, you want to shame like an industry that understands who their core audience is, and shame that core audience to make them look quote unquote evil for that. And that's why like the male and female dynamics is so shoddy as it is, because guys are getting like, you know, hand slapped away for all the things that we're biologically are tuned to and make us feel bad for it, which is the weird thing, because that's the thing that you ladies would need in order to allow the procreation of the species. You want guys to, you know, be attracted to you in order to come talk with you, to chat it up with you, to hopefully get in a relationship with you, to protect you, to provide for you, and hopefully you in turn will want to procreate with them to continue on a lineage. You want them to be ambitious and like, you know, gung-ho and hopefully attracted to you. But of course, guys, as much as we like to joke that guys like to stick their dick in anything, but we still, in, you know, for a long-lasting relationship, guys want to be able to look at hot women. Okay, we like looking at thick thighs. We like, you know, bountiful breasts. We like, you know, lovely eyes and feminine features and long hair. We like that. It's just as simple as that. We don't need you to be a 10 out of 10 supermodel, but we don't want you to look like one of those Concord characters from that game. It's a medium, there's a middle ground, a simple middle ground here that guys, multiple guys, are very reasonable about. But God forbid we, you know, like what we like.
Too attractive. 2026. Where everyone's a dog and the monsters are ruling the universe. She's like, these people are too... Can you imagine the hideous abomination that she wants in a game? Women have learned to become attentive to other attractive women and indirectly undermine attractive female rivals through tactics like reputation destruction and to reduce perceived threats to their own relationship.
Right, the Ozempic chic.
By Ozempic chic, she means what a human being looks like. This isn't Ozempic, this is what a person looks like when they can...
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's plenty of girls that look like this realistically. Plenty. But for those few that probably have like a larger frame or even a tinier frame, whichever extreme you want to go with, feel bad because they, you know, don't want to put in the work so they can look like this. Is very feasible. But you know, it's out of just sheer laziness. They don't want. They find it easier to shame guys rather than work on themselves. This is like a weird mindset. Like, you'll never catch me shaming Michael B. Jordan or Henry Cavill about how they look. You'll never catch me shaming The Rock about how he looks, or any guy. We just look at that as inspiration and want to work out. You know, I like going to the gym because it just makes me feel better as a stress reliever more than anything. I'm going in tomorrow morning, matter of fact, because it's like, especially now it's getting warmer out there because the Chicago weather is now finally breaking. I can actually go to the freaking gym and actually blow off some steam, relax, okay? You know, kind of clear my head a bit. And, and like, you know, get a good workout in. That's how guys tend to feel better. And of course, we don't want to suffer a freaking heart attack before we're 55.
Consume the correct amount of calories. I can understand why some people in society may have forgotten that.
It seems like only
given the kind
is guys who have that level of self-awareness. Mostly, not all of them.
Of things that they're around. But that is a normal human body. It's what you're meant to look like.
Contour your nose. You have no nose. The tiniest nose.
She doesn't like cute noses. Let's see how big that nose is. So if you have a normal nose... It's just a nose, love. But she's like, I've got a massive honker that could take down an astronaut. Everybody else does as well. Attractive female rivals exhibit facial femininity, lower waist-to-hip ratio.
And you know what would be ironic, or at least is ironic, that women like this who say they don't like, you know, masculine men, or like, they like the liberal men, but you end up either cheating on the liberal men or leaving those liberal men because those liberal men don't stand on business or have any kind of self-respect about them, don't have any balls at all, so they, you know, tend to be beta creeps, that as soon as a dude comes by and puts you in your place, your natural biology tends to kind of react positively towards that, because that's how masculine men tend to operate. I'm not talking about the monster men out in the world. I'm talking about like reasonable men who ain't gonna like tolerate any of your craziness or your BS and put you in your place. Yes, I said it because, you know, contrary to popular belief, back in the recesses of a lady's mind, they tend to be, you know, drawn to the guys they at least are attracted to do that kind of thing, because they want to be told no. They want to be checked every once in a while. Not by every guy, mind you, but just, you know, guys they tend to be attractive to, not the ones they claim to be attracted to. Then, you know, like I said, like that's why those liberal male feminists, quote unquote, are, you know, pretty much like sneaky efforts, because they think, because they still want to mate too. They want to mate with the hottest chicks, so they think their little strategy by agreeing with every little thing the woman says, because happy wife, happy life, and all this stuff, thinking they're gonna win their way into your loins. Well, even if they manage to get pity sex from you, because they probably won't stand on business, because they don't want to push any boundaries or agitate you or rock the boat any kind of way. They'll let you go hog wild and lead the relationship. You'll, in the long run, won't respect them, because your natural inclination, whether you want to admit it or not, is to want a man to act like a man and lead the relationship, because you don't want to be the one calling the shots. That is a man's position, typically, if not 99% of the time. But you want to so much fight against that biology. You want so much. It's like pulling teeth, because you do not want to make that the reality. You want that delusion so bad that we all are equal. It doesn't matter who leads, but even though your biology, nature, God, science, all in concise agreement says otherwise.
And being Sydney Sweeney. That's the image that she wants, by the way. Presumably, as she's already commented on Ozempic, she wants that, but the size of a whale. Basically wants Hammond with that just massive nose stuck on the top of it. That's the preferred thing here.
I think because of that precedence, people feel understandably let down.
Who? Who's this we? Who are these people? We know what you mean, love. Now I know you're trying to use collective guilt against everybody. No, look at all these people that I'm speaking up for, that all empower me. No, it's just you, isn't it? This is selfish. This is you. This is your insecurities. This is your narcissism. This is your problem, that you're trying to use collective power to make it seem like you have a point. When really, the audience is men, dear. The audience is men that want to look at attractive women and they don't care about you. Because you don't matter. Which is the problem with all the celebrities. None of them want to realise that you don't matter. The only thing that matters is the bottom line. The only thing that matters is the audience. And you are not it. You are not the target demographic of a first-person shooter PC video game. Now, if this was a knitting circle, if we were creating the next Barbie doll, if this was Wuthering Heights and we needed advice on what we should write in the next Clitlet, maybe we'd come to you. But when it comes to the first-person shooting, violent, aggressive video game...
Overwatch is a trailblazer at challenging that, right?
It was. It has some of the ugliest people ever to have existed on the face of the planet. Overwatch added in this mess. You know what happened?
Venture, that was the character's name. It was around this, or maybe a little bit before Venture, when I kind of noticed like a particular pattern going on with Overwatch. It was sometime after Venture when I kind of fell back off of Overwatch for a while, and then when Marvel Rivals came about, it took my passion completely away from Overwatch, and particularly Blizzard, because they was going through a whole bunch of mess behind the scenes, and their characters, a lot of them are so queer coded and LGBT, all this stuff, and it's like, okay. And it became kind of nauseating, and then Marvel Rivals just kind of swept the nation, if not the entire planet. And it's like, yeah, they took your blueprint and made it better, and that's a crying shame that Marvel Rivals is a better Overwatch than Overwatch. That is a crying shame. They just released Elsa Bloodstone, which is pretty much a Ash character. But she's like a better Ash than Ash. It's so wild. It's like how Blizzard let Marvel Rivals outdo them at their literally own game. That is embarrassing.
And when they added this in, the game died. Yeah, the game died. Because
in Marvel Rivals, the development team didn't bow down to like people like that voice actress that was just recently shown. I don't know that person's name. Like, you know, there was like people, a small friends group of people sitting there, you know, trying to force the development team of Marvel Rivals to put more queer LGBT people into the game. I mean, Angela technically is like with as canon as it is in a relationship with a woman, but they just want more. I reacted to a video with Vera, of Vera Dark's video about that particular thing, where she mentions it's never going to be enough. So, like me, she's proud that the development team didn't cater to this small group, because they probably didn't play Marvel Rivals anyway, or probably never going to play Marvel Rivals anyway, because they just want to inject and insert themselves in everything imaginable. It'll never be enough for them, because they just want to take over just for the sake of taking over. It isn't about any representation anyway. It's just want to just take over. They just want to just be able to be everywhere, instead of just having people have their own thing. And kudos to the Marvel Rivals team to not like listen to that. They know who the audience is. They know what they want to do. They're standing on business. Unlike that Blizzard head honcho guy who catered to the whims of this one voice actor who he and many others could just replace like that, but didn't, because they were afraid of certain backlash. And I think maybe because it's like Western media compared to the Eastern media, and the Eastern media knows how to create awesome characters, create great narratives, and know who their audience is. They know the bigger picture.
But he wants to look at these characters. What the men really want to look at is the hot ones. And so as the game died and Marvel Rivals came out and started adding hot characters in, Overwatch started doing it as well. That was until we started to get this harping on. And then they folded.
We're sorting through all the questions, comments, excitement, and feedback that you've all shared.
Quick, panic stations! We don't actually care about our audience. Somewhere a woman's got a backup about something. We've got to pay attention to that. Blizzard spent fortunes creating 10 new characters, a whole year of content, relaunching the game, getting a load of excitement from old players wanting them to get back, and then it was all destroyed with one collared-haired lunatic complaining that her character was too hot for her. Once again, this study is undefeated. You should have got Sydney Sweeney to be the voice actress, and I know people go, she's Chinese. You need a Chinese person to voice act her. Actually, I agree. But the person they hired is a Canadian, culturally appropriating being Chinese in the first place. And Marvel Rivals is a Chinese game. This is the game you get when Chinese people are actually involved in the creation of things, which isn't really a surprise when you find out that China bans effeminate men on TV, because they realise the importance of gender roles, and they realise that when you break those, it destroys society. But gosh darn it, if we have to destroy society just so she doesn't feel insecure, And that's a price she's willing to pay.
There is a woman being called Piggy by our president.
So, that's the correct response. That should have been the response to this. Oh no, I'm sorry you're voicing someone that's too attractive for you. But quite frankly, you're not the target demographic.
Female reporters being shouted down. It's always the women being shouted down.
And through her tears, through her crocodile tears, just designed to manipulate people so they don't actually realise that she doesn't have a point or any logic or reason for this. It's just my emotions. The one question she'll never ask is why, if it's always women getting shouted down, what are they doing to cause it?
They need our voice.
Why? Why? Have you done any research into this? Do you even know what your voice is? Because I bet you'd also talk about equality. I bet you'd say there's no difference between men and women. So by your worldview, what are you bringing? Now, I would say there is a huge difference. I can explain the differences, equality and safety and harm avoidance versus hierarchy, justice, order. And I could also tell you what kind of stories they'd lead to, the different benefits, the negatives between those two opposing worldviews, and the stories that...
I mean, you can look at even like how boys and girls play when they're, itty-bitty kids. Guys tend to play things like sports or things that require winners and losers and hierarchical structures, while girls tend to play things that doesn't have any winners or losers. It's like, they play house or hopscotch, whereas there's no winners or losers at all. That's like the fundamental, like the grown-up version of all that stuff is pretty much like, order. Like, guys tend to want order and structure and discipline and like things to go in a proper place. And we understand, like, okay, he gets more because he does all this more extra than anybody else below him, while ladies want everything to tend to be, not all women, but most women want things to be all equalized and fair, because we want because you want to live in harmony, because they don't, most of them don't understand about, like, there are winners and losers, there are hierarchies, there are, people who have like a particular place in a pecking order, okay? But they get on this little soapbox, they start crying about the inequality and the fairness because they want everything so desperately to equalize and fair, because they want this perfect utopia that will never ever come true, because there's always going to be fundamental differences. It just is. Guys tend to understand that very early growing up, and understand that there's not gonna be anybody to come save us. We got to be able to get a job, make money, so we can effectively take care of ourselves and hopefully a significant other and our children. We understand the world's not gonna be fair to us. We understand these kind of unpleasantness of the world, the harshness of the world. So that's why we need to make sure, like, the young boys are prepared as they grow up, so when they get to be adults and go out into the world, they will have at least some level of preparedness, so when life hits them, they'll have the capabilities to get back up and dust themselves off and try again. Not to quote Leah here, but someone don't get that, because we tend to coddle young girls, so that's why they growing up thinking like everything should be fair, and not realizing the harshness of the world. And like, of course there's gonna be guys that'll always come around and save you, because if you're good looking enough, if you're pleasant enough, or even if you're not pleasant enough, the guys is always gonna almost always, because some dude, whether he's stupid or not, will come and try to rescue you from the woes of life. Guys don't get that benefit, so of course you can spout off like things should be equal, life should be fair, should, but we don't live in should land. We live in reality check tech, to quote American Dad.
They make, and how they're for entirely different demographics. You know what this one doesn't need over here, though? This voice. Because this voice can only ruin this morality. Because this voice could only ruin this story. So why do they need your voice?
And probably a therapist.
That's someone that goes to a therapist. I can tell by the tears. There was nothing in that.
I think we need less therapy, in my personal opinion. The world's been super over-therapized. The only thing they managed to get out of that is more buzzwords that they rarely truly understand. And they're probably more medicated than ever.
There was an argument, it was also all emotion, and you have to employ me. You need my voice. What does my voice mean? Oh, it means, give me a job. Give me a job. You have to give me a job. You need me to give me a job. Look, I know you're making something for a different demographic, but you need me in the room. Why do you need me in the room? Well, it's so I can whine and complain at you and harp on and nag. And then if you ignore me, because she did say...
And I want you to know that I shared all of this with the dev team.
Yep, you need me in the room. You have to give me a job. You have to pay me. You have to sort all those tick boxes out. You have to put me in a position that I couldn't earn and don't deserve. Why? Well, it's so I can destroy your game. And if you don't listen to me in the back room, I'm going to take it publicly. I'm going to destroy your game publicly. That's not an employee, that's a liability. And why?
Not an exploration of what the world is. It's an exploration on what the world could be.
And look at what it could be, folks. You too could have a world filled with fugly monsters. If I wanted to see that, I'd travel. You also see what she really hates about it.
Looks more docile than the most docile peacekeeping support in the game.
She has a problem that she's feminine. I can't understand why she'd have a problem with that. It eludes me. Attractive female rivals exhibit facial femininity, lower waist-to-hip ratios. Due to women's greater parental investment, aggression must go undetected.
I've been seeing everyone's redesigns and quietly bookmarking them.
Oh, redesigns. Yeah, I actually have one of those. This is one of the redesigns that she likes. Yes, the redesigns that she really likes are just men in dresses.
Attractive female rivals exhibit facial femininity.
The people that should have been hired for the role, rather than her culturally appropriating them, taking one of their jobs. Something which I'm sure in any other circumstance she would be against. Until she's getting paid, because it's all about greed and self-interest. But if you don't do what I say, I will publicly destroy your company and cost you billions of dollars. In fact, her damage to the company has only been topped by him coming out and destroying even more billions of dollars by giving her what they want. We're not going to take that. Who do you think you are? By doing that, you not only would have got her as a VA, replaced her, you would have got loads of support from actual people who play your game and scared off all the lunatics that you don't want anyone near you. It's a filter. Everyone should have a filter, so they get caught in it. You can tell and get rid of them before they affect your life.
I know sometimes when you're in the studio with a bunch of guys, it can be hard.
Why? Not once do any of these people wonder why they feel so intimidated around them. Maybe I'm intimidated because I realize they're better than me.
I urge you to always listen to yourself and always fight for your ideas.
I urge you to fight for your ideas if you're correct, not to always fight for your ideas. That leads to this. I also wouldn't take advice from anyone that looks like that in a photo. When she turns sideways, she looks like the penguin. I think one of my favourite virtue signals about this, that proves it's all about self-interest, was how Grey's Anatomy took a pause in order to protest something. Yeah, they went dark on January 30th. That was it. One day. A Friday? I'm not going into work on Friday. Why? Well, I've got to change the world. Look, if Grey's Anatomy misses one day of filming, I don't know how the world will cope. And they wanted a 3-day weekend. My theory is that someone had booked a holiday abroad and was like, oh, they won't give me sick leave. No, you don't understand. I'm leaving because of the state of the world. It's always self-interest.
I know that right now is a scary time.
I don't know what despair she's talking about. She's on stage in the nation which is the superpower of the world, the richest country in the world, and she's like, it's so scary right now, I don't know what's happening. Actually, I do understand that she can't comprehend what's happening. It's probably the main part about that. Tom Cruise could probably teach what's happening, though, as he had to flee his £35 million flat because of armed gangs raiding a Rolex store just down the road from where he lives. London has declined and is no longer safe. No, I could tell you why it wasn't safe. Without even seeing any CCTV, I could tell you what that was. But John you is probably wouldn't like it. Although, let's be honest, if by 2026 he hasn't learned that you shouldn't film up your nose, then throughout all of his time in Hollywood he seemingly hasn't picked up any actual talent. The only person that uses that camera angle is Starfleet Academy. Nobody wants to see up your nose, dear. I don't even know what I'm watching anymore.
When the blank night has so long stood.
Oh, he's so emotional. I mean, I thought it was just a little problem, but it was big enough for him.
When they forever are so fiercely good.
That poem meant a lot to him. It was really emotional for him. You know how I knew that poem meant a lot for him? In fact, he had to read it on his phone. He cared about that so deeply, he didn't even know what the words were.
Amanda Gorman for Renee Holdgood.
Why are you talking about this? I mean, if he got hit by a car, it'd be more understandable. They wouldn't be able to see him. And of course, you've got people over here, our media, also completely lunatics, and entirely one-sided about over in the US. So, while Brian May is like, it's too dangerous for it to do concerts in the US, everyone is thinking twice. I actually don't blame him as much, because over here is just a 24/7 constant blaring danger, danger, America bad. It's kind of wild. So this one, I'm at least willing to say could well be ignorance, rather than self-interest, or self-interest, or self-interest, or self-interest, or self-interest. Also, Brian May is probably really used to living in an extremely safe environment in his £25 million home in Surrey, actually. And it's extremely safe in Surrey, let alone his postcode. Now, the interesting thing with good stories are how they analyze something. So Star Trek always had an idea that it went through and showed you it from different perspectives, different elements of humanity, which were all represented by different characters. Picard was more the guy, he was the peacetime guy. He's the guy that could afford to be the generous, benevolent, peace-loving guy. Whereas Sisko, he had to make choices pushed on the edge. Is it worth killing one person to save 5 million people? And there's a load of people that don't understand Star Trek who are like, this is deconstructing Star Trek, or this is moral greyness. It's not moral greyness. That decision is an objectively moral good. There is a right answer, and it is good. He was doing the right thing in hard circumstances, and when it comes to things like war, you need the men who are of the justice-based morality, not the care-based one. When the cards are down, the care-based one goes back where it belongs. And that is one of the issues that Hollywood can never do. All their virtue signaling, all their selfish greed, all the narcissism, attention seeking, and just begging for a job, trying to manipulate people for a job, doesn't work. Everyone can see through it. You're very transparent. You're always arguing for yourselves. It's an attempt to pretend to be the victim, to come out with all of this emotion. No, so it's all emotion-based. There's a lot of crying. There's a pretending to be ever so concerned. But it's all to essentially manipulate their moral betters. And the thing is, both sides know this is correct. As Matthew Marsden said, people still say that Hollywood cancelling conservatives is a myth. Meanwhile, Trevor Noah, surrounded by his NPCs who are all signalling to the tribe that I'm just like you, I believe everything you do, please don't cancel me.
John Legend, Billie Eilish, Phineas, Nicki Minaj is not here, she is not here.
Yeah, someone who doesn't agree with this isn't here, because otherwise we might actually be required to have a thought. We won't want that. I want to remain in the safety of my hood.
Now, see, this is the issues like Bill Maher, that Bill Maher talks about. There's no free thinking at all. If you dare go against like this woke bubble, they will just like treat you like you're the scum of the earth. That you like. They gave him crap because he dared to go to actually talk to President Trump like a human being and tell him what he really thinks. And explain to him like a normal person, not yelling at him, not being a psycho towards him, just saying like, hey, you're scaring the American people. You need to like, handle some stuff, like rationally, and hopefully you're not surrounded by just a bunch of yes men. And Trump actually was engaging. He was behaving like a normal person. God forbid he actually is a human being. That probably it acts like a big sledgehammer to a lot of stuff, but he's not like this overall monster as a lot of these people here would have liked to think he is. But because something like him, like Bill Maher just talking with him, or Nicki Minaj associating with Charlie Kirk's wife, and understanding about like what it means to like try to keep like certain people out of bathrooms, and like actually believing in some of the Trump's politics, or not even just Trump's politics, it's just conservative politics that she personally believes in. This is like something like Zachary Levi talked about like a while back. I was watching Nerdrotic and he was on there, and it's just like him and Kelsey Grammer like mentioned like how often there's actually conservative celebrities that have to keep that part of them hidden because they are under threat of probably losing opportunities because they dare to have some level of self-thinking or believe there's some stuff in the political right they actually agree with. But God forbid they actually like voice those opinions without being looked at like they, just kicked a cat down the street. It's like most of these people in that audience like just can't think for themselves. They clapping like seals instead of like, I'm pretty sure at least a few of them, at least maybe 10% of them, or 20% of them actually agree with what Trump is doing, try to get illegal immigrants out of the country, or believing like men should be in women's bathrooms. They probably actually agree with it, but they dare not say it, or they dare not want to be perceived like they agree with everything that Trump does because they agree with one or two things that's underneath his umbrella. Because you can't like parse things apart. You can still say like, some of the stuff Trump I don't agree with, but there's a few things here that he actually got right. It's fair. It's reasonable. That's being human with layers and free thought. Okay? It's not one or the other. There's some stuff on the right I agree with, some stuff on the left I agree with. But treating you like the scum of the earth, like Amber Rose is another person, Dean Cain, Kevin Sorbo, Sydney Sweeney, Clint Eastwood, Kelsey Grammer, or even like Tim Allen, people who believe in have at least half conservative values, are looked at sideways. I'm pretty sure there's more of them, but I'm pretty sure they're either quiet, keeping themselves. They never want to express that because they gonna get right through the coals and get some kind of comedian, clowning them. The popular kids laugh at them and tease. It's weird. It's so weird. And they should be ashamed of themselves, honestly. Because, God forbid, Nicki Minaj actually believes in some stuff that the Republican Party has. God forbid, Bill Maher actually have a conversation with whether you like it or not, he's the president. He's our president. You can actually talk with him, not shouting at him, not, being crazy at him. Be reasonable, sit down with them, and actually have a reasonable conversation. You might be surprised what it can come out of it.
Box, where I know I've got the right decision because somebody else gave it to me. Wanda Sykes proved this point as well. It is amazing how comfortable they are doing it. And she did it with Bill Maher, of all people. Somebody who would agree with her on most things.
Bill Maher, you give us so much. I would love a little less.
He was completely confused. He was taken off guard. He wasn't ready for it. Why are you doing that to me? I haven't done anything to you. I've been perfectly civil to you. I behave well to you. But to her, he's an enemy. Because despite being on her side, he's still willing to go, I don't agree with everything. And that's enough. It did make me laugh that after this, Ricky Gervais came out and reminded them of a speech. If you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech. You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. Ricky Gervais, obviously, when he presented the Golden Globes, just took an axe to the crowd. Metaphorically. He told them all the truth to their face, took the piss out of them. And he didn't care, because he wasn't planning to do it again. Then you have Trevor Noah. A guy who has never been funny, but he has got the role because tick box, tick box, tick box. That'll do. And what tactic did he use in the Golden Globes?
Oh, I told you it's my last year. What are you going to do about it?
Oh, I'm such a rebel. I've said something that everyone in the crowd has cheered for. I've said something that all of the media, all the corporate press, and everyone in California will all agree. Lavish me with praise. Clap for me as I bow down to my corporate overlords and push against an open door. Because I'm a rebel, you know. I'm such a rebel.
What are you going to do about it?
And yet I think this picture is the perfect summary of Hollywood. It is all of the celebrities in the front of the crowd going, look, give me attention, look what I've done, aren't I amazing? Oh, isn't it all about me? It's all about me and me getting jobs and me getting money. Meanwhile, here's the actual industry. Just about to eat them for lunch, and they're all about to lose their jobs. You want proof that this is all about the celebrity and not what they're talking about? How about this? No, I'm protesting, you see. I think this is an important message. All of my fans need to listen to, and that's why I've done it ever so cutely on my nails. Look, aren't I cute? Yes, I've managed to virtue signal and look cute. Give me attention. Say I'm a good girl. This is no different than having a Prada bag or a purse puppy. Do you remember those? It was never about the puppy. It was about bringing attention to the woman. My personal favourite was this. It was like just eating themselves. She got a role, which then she decided to resign because, ooh, I don't represent the character. It's a shame that some other miserable bints didn't realise that as well, when they were like, but you're not even Chinese. You're Canadian. We definitely got someone who is native to China, right? In this case, she resigned because, well, she wasn't Mexican. So, okay, I think a Mexican person should take this role. And I agree. I don't think you should have this role. Now, for some reason, they decided to call this whitewashing. What? I don't think you know what that word means. This is just not a Mexican. It's about the change happening when Latinos are trusted to lead projects, shape our own narratives, and be part of the decision-making. You know what the response to that is? Well, we're not going to make stories about you then. One of the things that I don't think anyone in Hollywood seems to have realized is that the more you limit things to California, not only are you alienating the majority of America, but the further you go away from California into foreign countries, especially foreign languages, well, if more than half of America don't care about it, the foreigners care even less. And if the majority of your box office comes from abroad, or even a 50-50 split, yeah, that matters. The rest of the world doesn't care about Mexican stories. It really doesn't. It's not a tick box for them. It's not like, oh, I've just sat in my entire life wondering what's happening over there. But what they are used to is American entertainment. They're used to traditional Hollywood entertainment. They're used to the American movies really proud of themselves, going around blowing up people. Lots of flags, patriotism, and even though they wouldn't be patriotic for America, they understand patriotism because they will be for their own country, or should be, depending what the country's doing. The masculine American values worked around the world because they could be related to by people around the world, rather than the effeminate ones that they've got now. But if you strip all of that away, and you just go, well, it's a Mexican story. Well, now you've stripped it of any meaning, any cause, now it is just a tick box, and nobody likes it. So you definitely don't want to do any of this.
Really wish that we could get it to you guys, but we need to stand on the right side of history.
Well, some people had a problem with that. They just...
I think a lot of y'all need to step outside of that LA bubble for a day or two, because apparently you just like, it's just some weird air around there. We just think like your entire, like the entire world should be like the Oscars, and the people in there to think exactly like you. It has to be. If you don't, like, you know, you're just like a evil scum of the earth. It's like, God, it's like, you know, that's a problem. That is like a serious problem. But honestly, 20 years ago, they were like, you know, a lot of these people would have been like the most reasonable people on this planet. Because like back in the 90s and early 2000s, it's like people have the kind of, you know, level-headed thinking, thought process like somebody like Bill Maher or Ricky Gervais. But they like are the ones that kind of like are like the kind of the examples where they remain steadfast. They haven't really changed all that much. But it's just like they ain't the ones that drunk that woke Kool-Aid. Like a lot of these people, the attention seekers and the seals in the room. It's just like John Leguizamo. I remember like back in the day, he was like I mentioned before, he used to be cool. He like seemed reasonable, but maybe he didn't change all that much. But I don't know. It's just he wouldn't like the 20, 30 something year old John Leguizamo would have never like, you know, back in the day would never said what he just said with like, don't see my movies. He would never ostracize anybody. It's just like most of these people like would have been like just like sensible. But now they've just gone too far to the left and just accept any level of depravity.
Decided to start asking for themselves in more roles. Yeah, John yeah, he's demanding to be in more roles while also causing trouble for himself. That's not a good sign. Latino creatives. So this would be Latino creatives calling for more jobs for themselves and deeming it to be a virtue signal. The current year is the only time you can virtue signal out of self-interest, out of selfishness and greed, at the cost of your betters, of people that should be in the role, of people who are far more competent than you, and you're like, they shouldn't get it, I should, because I'm me and I'm from over there somewhere. Anyone that pulls this grift, get them out. You don't want these people there. They will destroy your industry. They will take things to the public. They will ruin your PR, and the movies they're in will die because they're not doing it for the right reasons. It's not done for the right reasons, but it dresses it up. It tries to sound nice. tries to sound weak and vulnerable. They sit in the dark crying help to the humans so that they can take advantage of the people who are actually moral, so that they can manipulate them and then personally benefit from the subversion. Over 100 Latino actors, artists and storytellers all came out signing an open letter to Hollywood calling them to give Latinos more work. I can't believe that all these Latino people think that they deserve more money. Never have seen that one coming. If only it was that interest for people of talent, like famous historical figures. Then they go through Netflix, and yeah, they get cast to people that shouldn't be in the role. You get praised for acts of birth and things that don't deserve it.
Yes, I want to say I'm up here as a granddaughter of an immigrant.
Wow. I mean, you could have gone, I'm up here because I'm so talented. I'm glad that it was recognised as an award for an achievement of something I've worked very hard on. But she knows she's not up there for talent. She knows she's not up there because she deserves anything. She knows it. She's up there because of an act of birth. She's up there for a tick box, and she's so proud.
I wouldn't be here.
I wouldn't be here if I wasn't a tick box. I don't deserve this.
Deserve to be celebrated.
Why? I mean, people keep saying things, but they never say why. I'm only interested in the why.
We're nothing without each other. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you so much.
I am exactly the same.
Just give their acceptable reward, thank your agent, thank your God, and piss off. It's so simple. Ricky Gervais broke it down beautifully. It's so simple. If I get any kind of accolations, that's what I'm going to do. I don't need to do anything beyond that. Just go up there, set my word, thank my God, thank my family, thank my friends, thank my agent, and then go back to my seat. Matter of fact, I probably won't even stay all that freaking long anyway. Let's be real, because I don't like going to these kind of functions anyway. Because I'm a homebody. I don't like doing all that. Grandstand or, circle jerk. I don't know. I just like to make sure to just keep to myself. I like, I'll probably be gone before the event is done.
In person if you never existed on the face of the planet. Like, you don't matter to me at all. But to her, she actually means it. I mean, without all the NPCs to tell her what to think, she wouldn't even have an opinion. Whereas Halle Berry, my career's been awful because people kept talking about what I look like. And did they really? You're telling me that you didn't get cast because of the way you look? Halle Berry, the highly successful, well-paid actress, international home name, Halle Berry. You're the oppressed person that couldn't get work. It's not all she said. She started complaining about getting an Oscar as well. This is the most
And that is another one. Just like what John Leguizamo was like, what happened to you? Like, it's just like, what was it? Scarlett Johansson? It was some other celebrity. I'm pretty sure it was Scarlett Johansson. It was Scarlett Johansson. It's just like, all of a sudden, when you reach a particular age, but when back in the day, not too long ago, you was the hot commodity. You was that girl, like everybody. Because, yeah, you were in terms of like black women, like Halle Berry was the standard of good-looking 90s black hot woman. Every woman wanted to be her. She made the short hair look popular. She was the one that started that. But you know full well that, yeah, sure, she's a great actress. That, definitely helps. But let's not kid ourselves. She got so many roles because of how she looked. Because she was, she still is. She's gorgeous. Like top tier gorgeous. And of course, all these studios want to put you in every little thing. Because of the sex appeal, the eye candy, the guys and hopefully the women in the theater seats. Same with Scarlett Johansson. You dare complain about the male gaze when you made so much bank off the fact that how good you look. It's like, but now that the Sydney Sweeneys of the world are like the new cream of the crop now it's like, you're falling in that category of the mom role instead of the daughter role, if catch my drift, where it's like, yeah, time. like in Doctor Strange, it's like it can be the enemy of enemy of us all, but it is what it is. Not to say you still don't look good. Like, nobody's ever going to turn down Halle Berry or Scarlett Johansson. But let's not get it twisted. The fact that, you made your living off the fact of how good you look, but then you got the nerve to complain when that is kind of waning now. And it's like, you have some nerve. It's just the ungratefulness about it. And now it's like, you treat it like as a horrible thing, like somebody forced you to make all these billions of dollars, and like somebody forced you to look so dang good. Like, how dare us create your perfect shapely features? How dare us as society mold you to look so gorgeous? How dare us? Instead of blaming God and your parents for making you look the way you look, and you maintaining that look for years on end. But hey, it's society's fault. It's the male gaze, it's the patriarchy, or whatever you want to blame. But then it's like now it's like shameful. It's like, I didn't really want this. Shut up. Like, it's you're lying. It's like, it's just like now you having like buyer's remorse. That's the word. You having buyer's remorse now. You got no room to complain. You have no leg to stand on.
Privileged class of the most privileged group in the most privileged country of the most privileged time to have ever existed in the entire history of the universe. And she's like, I just didn't get enough free stuff. I should have got more free stuff. I should have got uplifted more for perhaps doing absolutely nothing that I already did. The Oscar didn't necessarily change the course of my career. I won it. I thought there was going to be script truck showing up outside my door. I was wildly proud of it. But I still look like me. You won an Oscar, love. You alienate nearly the entire world to pander to a tiny fringe, a tiny couple of tick boxes. And all of those tick boxes are telling you that you should give them more jobs, while saying things that destroy your industry. And the only people that are going to get them to shut up, it's not them, because they're too selfish and greedy. They can't silence themselves, which means Hollywood is going to have to silence them for them. And at this point, contractually requiring every single Hollywood actor to shut up would probably be the best move that Hollywood has done in years. And I don't say that for me. Every time one of them opens their mouth, I get content. Them shutting up would probably put me out of a job. But you know what? At least we'd get better movies. Hollywood would make more money, and the only people that would lose out are the celebrities that don't deserve a voice in the first place. It's really weird saying this, but I respect Addison Rae just flashing her arse far more than any of this twaddle. And I don't know whether she wore all the stuff as well. I'm just on about the posing. Because at least in that, she's giving the audience what they want. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments.
Yeah, 100% agree. I can't believe it's, wow, it's like 2 hours for like a 30-minute thing, man. Wow. I was going to end it right here because, I don't know, I had to get my opinions out, and I really wanted to react to this video. But, man, 2 hours. Golly. But anyway, I'm curious to know what you guys' thoughts are. This is like, crazy. It took this long, but man, I just had to talk about this. But let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys later. Take care.